Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, here we are, the World Series Game 1, going to be underway Friday, October 25th, of course, in Los Angeles, and the Dodgers with the better record. So the first two games will kick off in Los Angeles, starts Friday and Saturday night. Day off for Sunday there, so go enjoy your football. And then the next three games in the Bronx next week. That'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then, if necessary, Friday and Saturday. So that is your schedule for the World Series. 2 games in LA, 3 games in the Bronx, and then 2 games back out in LA if need be. Now, on the way, we have finally some little clarity now with the starting rotation. Just kind of more on the Yankee side, a little bit with the Dodgers, just to kind of get into all that, and plus preview the World Series matchup. And at the end there, I'll kind of give you my prediction on how this is going to go there. So a lot of good stuff this episode. But make sure if you want to get a little updates like this, and of course reactions after every game, you want to be a podcast subscriber. So if you're listening for the first time, make sure you follow, subscribe it, and also there's a YouTube version of the show, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Actually dropped the latest episode. It's going to be kind of similar to what some of the stuff covered here, so you want to get that as well. So go over after this, YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and they say crush that subscribe button. So we got a little bit more clarity on kind of how at least some of the starting rotations are going to match up here in the early game, because we all knew Cole was going to get the ball in Game 1. That's kind of a given. But it took a while for the Dodgers at least announce a few names on their side, and they finally did. So Jack Flaherty will get the ball in Game 1, and then in Game 2, the Yankees will go with Carlos Rendon, and he'll be up against the big offseason acquisition purchase, the Japanese import, Yamamoto, who turned down the Yankees offer and took a bigger offer from the Dodgers, getting the ball in Game 2. So that's your Game 2 matchup. And then in Game 3, when it goes to the Bronx, at least for now the Yankees have announced that Clark Schmidt gets the ball for that one. Right now, the Dodgers haven't announced that, so that kind of remains to be seen. And if you want to go back to the most recent YouTube episode, I kind of covered this, what this matchup is going to be. The Dodger offense against the Yankee pitching. The Dodgers have a little better offense, and the Yankees have a little bit better pitching, especially you see it right here on display, the fact that they can't even name their Game 3 star at this point right now. So they kind of been a mishmash unit. They've taken a lot of injuries in the starting rotation. They lost Kershaw, they lost Glass now. A lot of arms went down there. So they've been kind of relying on those two and doing a lot of bullpen games, kind of like what we saw during the Yankees in the Cleveland series. Cleveland kind of yanked a lot of their starters out there rather early and go to the bullpen, one after another, come out each inning there. And that's probably what at least the Yankees are going to be facing when they go up against the Dodgers. Weather-wise, it looks, pretty much it's going to be picturesque. Of course, we know what the weather is out there in Southern California. Well, here in New York, and I think this is going to be a factor, the next 2 weeks is pretty much the same thing. If you look ahead in this calendar, it looks like a lot of 70, even some 80-degree weather days there. Not exactly a bitter fall classic. So I don't think that benefits the Yankees there. And if you want to look at this in terms of the spectacle of the World Series, if you're a casual baseball fan or you're just a fan of one of these teams, it's probably as good as it gets. Of course, the Yankees and Dodgers kind of transcend baseball. They have fans outside of their states. Baseball, again, last year, I'm sure they weren't loving that Texas versus Arizona Diamondback World Series. I mean, this is kind of the World Series you want. You do want it to go long, and I kind of covered it in the YouTube episode, but looks like the odds makers are kind of hinting that, the Dodgers do have the upper hand in this game. They are favored, and right now it looks like that at least the money right now is saying anywhere from 5 to 6 games. 5.5 is kind of the push. It's in the middle there. So they're looking at this going about 6 games. That's at least according to the odds makers. And the deal is, in New York, Los Angeles, you can have all the celebrities there, and all the New York actors that are out in LA. They're gonna have the Yankee hat on, and it would be nice to see if Jack Nicholson actually makes his way out there. I don't know if he'll do that. He's now like 87, 88 years old. He did finally this past NBA season make an appearance at a Lakers game when it was kind of his first kind of public appearance. He's kind of done the hermit thing since COVID. He's a Yankee fan. I remember at least during the regular season when the Yankees go out there and play, he would more often than not be in the crowd. So, we'll see if Jack makes an appearance there. But of course, you'll have Denzel with the Yankee hat on. And of course, over here in New York, both sides, again, you'll have all the celebs in the stands there. So the camera shots in the stands are probably going to be just as much as on the field as well there. Just with all the fanfare a Yankees-Dodgers matchup can bring. And for the Yankees, obviously, you're kind of concerned. Just want to make sure, and kind of Susan Waldman pointed out that they padded up that wall there in right field. You may recall last season, that's when Judge went through it, had the toe injury, which pretty took him out for 50-plus something games and pretty much derailed the entire Yankee season. So she kind of threatened to kill them all if that wall isn't fortified, and if Soto or someone goes through it. So let's see if that's the case. Now, as for where I think it's going to go, what my predictions are, and I did express this well on the YouTube channel. Right now, if you want to, just to be fair and kind of take my Yankee fandom out of it, if I was going to make a guess, you're probably favoring the Dodgers in the series and probably I could see about 6 games is the same as those odds makers. Reason being, a couple of things there that, it would have been helpful. Like, let's say if New York was cold, like, kind of like what we saw the first 2 games against Cleveland, it was kind of bitter in the air. And I think that's something that maybe the Yankees would have been beneficial. But the fact that the weather is pretty much going to be the same as Los Angeles is there, so the Yankees are not going to have that kind of advantage. And, you figure talks about maybe about all the travel, the back and forth with the Dodgers. Well, over the past week or so, they already been doing the whole New York back and forth thing with going to Queens. So at least the Yankees travel hasn't been that far. I mean, Kansas City, Cleveland, that's only about maybe midway of the country there. So the Yankees haven't been traveling that far. The Dodgers have been. They have been making the longer journeys, especially more recently with the Mets there. So if in terms of, sleeping patterns, stuff like that, it's there. Now, I know these are professional ball players. They play a whole season, and you kind of had this week off in between the NLCS and the ALCS, but still, again, I think the Dodgers, at least sleeping patterns and travel patterns aren't going to be hindered because they've already been doing this for a couple of weeks. And you just also look at a big advantage. This is going to be their offense. I mean, look at the first couple guys they throw at you with Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Ohtani. I mean, this is no pushover type of lineup. This ain't the Royals. And look at even the Cleveland Guardians, man. Okay, Kwan's a pesky hitter at the top there. Fry's decent, but, I know he had the big game-winning home run off of Holmes in Game 3 there. But, yeah, he wasn't exactly, like, killing the Yankees. Jose Ramirez, again, a great ball player, had a great season, a 40-40 type player. But, again, the Yankees handled him pretty well, and he really wasn't doing that great in the postseason either. And Josh Naylor, I know he has good numbers, and he has that face and that smirk you just hate. But, again, the Yankees pretty much kept him at bay. Pretty much, other than Ramirez, he had the 1 home run in Game 3 against the Yankees. Again, the Yankees pretty much kept that offense, that looks those top 4 guys at bay there. And if you look at the rest of that Cleveland lineup, it's pretty much a laugh. I mean, the Yankees pretty much able to buzz through that. Only time the bottom of that lineup gave the Yankees fits, what you would say was probably the Game 5 against Rodon, when all those left-handers were down there kind of putting some good at-bats on Rodon. Other than that, the top 4 guys with Cleveland were the only guys we had to worry about, and they really weren't much of a threat at all. I don't go back to Kansas City. That lineup is nothing to really scare the Yankees. I mean, they pretty much kept them at bay, kept them in the ballpark. All they really did was Game 2 against Rodon to single him to death. But this Dodgers lineup is not like that with those type 3 guys. And plus Hernandez, as remember when he was with the American League, especially like Seattle or Toronto, just eat the Yankees alive with home runs. And again, that's pretty a foursome lineup the Yankees going to have to handle. And if you look at the starting rotation, Cole's been spotty. He had 1 bad start, 1 good start, then back to 1 bad start. Rendon, 1 overhyped start. He had to pull him out. And then the 2 starts after were okay. Again, Schmidt's been competent. I thought he did well in his start. And even the 1 start by Luis Hill in Game 4 that I think, just for the time he'd been off the 4 innings gave. Again, all good, all competent. But, again, this offense is much different than that. I just don't know if the Yankees could hold them down enough. Now, on the flip side, as I mentioned, the Dodgers starting rotation and starting pitching, it's a little thinned out, let's put it that way. I mean, they've been good at spots, but most of the part, they've also got slapped around, too, by the Mets in a couple of those NLCS games. So, could we possibly have a slugfest back and forth, and that could be maybe that's the way the series goes, and can the Yankees win that way? It's possible. I mean, I kind of look at this more as the 1996 World Series when the Yankees went up against the Braves, and you looked at those starters, they have Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine and John Smoltz. How are we going to get through these guys? Where you didn't think it was impossible, but you didn't think it was likely. Now, the Yankees obviously got to those guys eventually, and that's what led to the Yankees getting to that 96 World Series. But I almost look at this a similar way, except instead of you're being awe of the starting rotation, you're in awe of their offense. So that's kind of where I look at this Yankee team. Again, you look at that Dodger team that's probably incremental better than them. Bullpens are probably a wash a little bit. Maybe you can say the Yankee bullpen is probably just a little bit better. The starting rotation is probably better. But is that enough to hold down this offense? And that's the question. And can the Yankee offense go, toe-to-toe with them until this becomes a slugfest? And the Yankees, again, their offense is no joke as well. Of course, we know past the series, Gleyber's been great in leadoff position. Soto's been good. Judge still needs to get it going a little bit, but at least he came alive a little bit in the Cleveland series. Giancarlo Stanton, of course, absolute fire. But can they maintain that, keep it going? And, of course, you need some of the other guys down there. Such as Volpe has to keep doing what he's doing. You got to get more from Wells. I know he had that 1 good game against the Royals, Game 1 there in the divisional series, but he has to pick it up more there, as well as Verdugo. And again, just for shot, can they compete with those guys? It's going to be tough to determine. I just think it's a lot for the Yankees. That's why, if I'm going to be objective about it, I got to say Dodgers in 4. But I'm not saying it's impossible the Yankees can't win the series. It definitely could happen. It's just, if you want to take everything out of it, the weather, the travel, everything that's come before, all the factors involved there, things seemed a little bit more favorable towards the Dodgers, but not crazy. Like, if you told me that the 96 Yankees could beat them, again, that would have been crazy at all, because you knew the guys we had. We knew we had David Cohn, we had Andy Pettitte, we had Jimmy Key, Kenny Rogers was terrible, we knew that, but we had Mariano Rivera, we had John Wetland closing. So the fact that we could have, defeated the Braves wasn't crazy. And of course, you look at the offense, O'Neal and Tino and Bernie and Jeter. So it wasn't crazy. So again, it's not crazy if the Yankees win the series. I just think it feels like the Dodgers win the series, but I have no problem of being wrong. So that's the episode. It's going to be a fanfare. This is the 11th time both the Dodgers and the Yankees franchise hooked up. Two classic organizations. If you're baseball executives, you got to love this. I think the ratings are probably going to be through the roof. Again, the Dodgers and Yankees have fans all over the country. And in baseball, from the World Series Baseball Classic from last offseason to this season, the ratings have been up, and probably a lot to do with the shorter games and some of the new rules that Rob Manfred put in. Very years past, really no one cared about the World Series. The ratings were in the basement. I think the ratings are going to be pretty good on this one. You have Ohtani and all the fanfare he brings along, and all the eyes he brings along going for his first world championship. And of course, Aaron Judge now getting his first shot as the Yankee captain. Now, can he cement himself in Yankee history? And we'll have the reactions right after. Catch you next time.